We are back on the Rational Boomer podcast. Hopefully, your day is going well. It is Wednesday by the time you hear this. We're recording it on Tuesday night. As we're starting to record this, we're about an hour and a half away from a government shutdown, and that looks imminent at this point. If we hear of any changes between now and then, we'll mention it. If not, we'll assume that the deadline has passed and the government is shut down. We'll deal with all that shit tomorrow. But I got good news. We've got a guest that's back that hasn't been around for a while. Of course, all of you that listen to the show love her, and for good reason. We have Old Soul back. And Old Soul, I know you've been all around everywhere doing some things that we're going to hear about, but it's good to have you back.
Yeah, it's good to be back. Like I kind of miss catching up with you, but we've been
Yeah,
texting since I got back. So, but other than that, yeah, it
well,
was a lot going on.
a lot
Okay,
going on.
my
Tell
brother
us what
told
you've been
you,
doing.
my brother told you about the rapture ride, right?
No, no, he didn't.
So the rapture ride, there was like these people selling their stuff during the rapture, and we ended up buying a like an SUV for like our seniors, and we
Oh,
have
that. Yeah,
like
yeah, 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 yeah. He did tell me about it. Go ahead, tell it again.
yeah, so there was this they were like a church, but they were in their home, and I don't know the ins and outs of it because I wasn't here, but they were selling all of their stuff, furniture, appliances, clothes, like you name it, they were selling it, and they were selling a car, or I guess it was an SUV because it is a three-seater, and there was like nothing wrong with it. I think some upholstery, and I think he said something about some tires. I don't know, and they bought it like cheap because they was trying to get rid of everything. It cleared the small check that's required in Nevada. The title was clear and everything. They bought it, and the kids named it the rapture the rapture ride. And so we have like some of the parents in the community. They use that to commute to work, and also on like the weekends and stuff when we're like taking food and different things like that, we use it for that as well. And like there's nothing wrong with it. Like I was in it earlier and it was just like a regular SUV. And I'm like, how the heck did y'all pay $1,500 for this? And that's it. And that's all they paid for it. And
Now
the
I know
kids,
you've been busy. I know you've been busy lately, but in case you
yeah.
hadn't heard, the rapture didn't happen. It didn't happen. Do these people want their vehicle back now, or are they just fucked?
Well, so what my brother said was, they were like texting back and forth, and then they once they got the title cleared and it passed the smog and everything that it needed to do, he just blocked the number.
Good idea.
I
Good
was like,
idea.
"So if they want their stuff back." He was like, "I'll never know." And so it's a good car. It's really really good. And so since we like have our kids like homeschooled and stuff now, they do you could tell it's like older people that like mix their schedules because they do like shop and auto and all that stuff. And so they were, put the tires on and all the stuff that needs to be done. So they were really, really into that. So I don't know what to say about it. I'm still kind of speechless that we got like this really, really nice SUV for like $1,500 from these people that had a church in their home, apparently. So
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well,
My brother,
at least
he
it's
said that.
gone for a good cause. Maybe God wanted it this way because it's helping out a lot of kids and older folks and stuff like that. Now,
I guess
correct me if
so.
I correct me if I'm wrong. Wild Child is in Europe now.
Yeah,
Is
she's
she,
in Germany. Mhm.
and how long is she going to be there?
Well, she's studying abroad right now, so she wants to. I don't know yet, because she always wants to like come back home and like get in the middle of stuff that we have here, and she
Yeah.
misses us. It's like a lot of us. But the saving grace is her and my niece, my daughters. She has a son, a daughter, and an ex-wife in Germany, and so her and my niece are like besties right now. So that's the saving grace. She's not as homesick as she was because they like go everywhere together. They do everything together. They got in trouble together already. So
Well,
yeah.
I'm sure Wild Child will flourish out there. She's a smart girl. She's a hustler. She's a tough girl on top of it. The only reason I bring it up is because while you have a big community around you, you're working with a lot of people, a lot of kids and stuff. But apparently, you felt like there was a with Wild Child in Europe, you had kind of an open spot in the home. And after doing all the things you're doing, you procured another member of your family,
I
right?
didn't. I did. Yeah, I did, but I didn't go into it doing it. So where I was, there's people who, because there's been homeless people that's been like disappearing and different things like that. And so there are groups of people who are trying to keep track of the homeless camps and the people that's within the camps, taking them food, making sure they got medication and all that stuff. So anyway, one of the groups found out that there was like this little girl like living within this homeless camp, and they didn't know where her dad was, and they're like, it's not safe to keep her here because like what if we get raided and what if somebody takes her? And the people that I was with, they were like, hey, she's like a black girl, can you like come with us to like talk to her? And so I went, and I guess her dad has like mental health issues, so sometimes he disappears and then he just leaves her there with the people in the camp. They did the best that they could to take care of her. Like she wasn't like physically injured or anything. She just had food insecurities. We had to catch her up on her shots, but she went to school. They fed her as much as they could, and
Well, we
I
have to
couldn't
just
read.
tell people, we have to tell people that this little girl is 6. She's a
Yeah,
little girl. So
yeah,
imagine a little girl in a homeless camp with her parents not around and these people doing the best they can to help
yeah,
her out, but they have nothing too. So that's a
yeah.
tragic situation for a young child. And obviously, you figured out a way to become her foster parent while in the process of trying to help her out. How the fuck you did that, I don't know. Maybe that's why you've been away so long because you've been messing with that whole process.
Yeah, it took a while to like get her back here to go through like the paperwork and all that stuff. And then my daughter, she signed off with me so that when I'm not at home, she's like looking after her and stuff. So it took a while. Like they wasn't just going to give me some. It's not like when it was Kelsey and stuff like that. Like, oh no, we're not going to give you no 6-year-old. We don't even know you. So luckily, my brother had like a veteran in the area that let us stay with him while we went through that process. And she's a you seen her, she's a good kid, but she's so like skinny. And I understand why she's skinny like that. But she's just all legs. Like you could tell she's gonna be tall. Um,
She's a bit thin. She's a bit tall. She's absolutely adorable, and
yeah,
having a 5-year-old granddaughter, I know exactly what it's like to have a kid of that age. And the one thing about little kids that I appreciate, any time in your life, everybody says, "Well, I like to have joy. Joy. We need more joy in our lives." If you ever
that's true.
want to see pure joy, it's in a small child, whether it be a baby. I'm dealing with my 4-month-old grandson, and when he's joyful, man, that's serious shit. And same with my granddaughter, and I'm guessing with this foster daughter of yours, the 6-year-old. Um, you want to cultivate that, you want to foster it, and you want to improve it. And she could never have done that in the environment she was in before. So um, a lot of admiration for you just picking up and saying, "Come with us. We're going to make things better for you." And naturally, you have.
Yeah, it was so it's hard to say anything bad about that camp because they literally did like the best they could. I think the only reason that they stepped forward and said something about her was because it's just not safe for them right now. It's
Right.
like they were missing all of the time. There's a lot of stuff that's going on with the homeless camps and stuff being broken up and different things like that. I know that they did the best that they could, but it wasn't a good environment for her. One of the things that I've recently learned is how to deal with children with who are coming from food insecurities. And a good thing that we learned, and I don't know if anybody else knows any kids that's dealing with this, but this is some really good stuff that I learned, is to make them feel like they're not going to run out of food. So one of the things is we have like carved out like a place on our shelf with like a little little like cubby on there for her. Like these are your snacks, these are your juices, this is all your stuff. Like nobody's gonna touch it. Have our own little like space in the refrigerator. Like this is your stuff. Nobody's gonna touch it. It's all there and it's all for you. Because we were noticing like putting food in her pockets and hiding them under like the bed and stuff like that. So just to kind of like not get upset that she's doing stuff, but just kind of like making her feel like she's not going to run out of food. She doesn't have to hide food, or she doesn't have anybody that she has to take food back home to and stuff like that. So, um, yeah.
I think the best thing that she's got going for her coming with you, she's got great role models. Certainly, the entire community who are all helping each other out. You uh, helping her out, showing her compassion and using her intelligence and doing all that stuff. But your daughter too, I think, is going to be a great role model for this little girl, because she's probably scared and nervous and shy and maybe not very confident, which is exactly the opposite of your daughter. She's
Yeah.
smart. She's got a background in psychology. She understands kids a little bit. She's kind of a badass too. So, I mean, we know what that influence had on the wild child. So I can only imagine what will happen when she gets a chance to start at 6 years old as opposed to 16.
Yeah, because she does like she doesn't like little kids like herself. She likes older kids. I guess she just wasn't around a lot of like little kids. And when she was around kids at school, they would always like tease her because she smelled bad and because of her hair and you know stuff like that. She was like taller than them. Kids are like mean. Like they're really really mean. But I
They
had
are
to look
mean.
at it like they just see that she is like different, and they don't really know how to, I don't know, like deal with that or express that if their parents haven't taught them that at home. So, she just doesn't really like kids like that. I don't want to say she doesn't like them, but she's just kind of a little standoffish with them. We were eating dinner like last night, and I was just talking to her about like my honey and his daughters like leaving and stuff, and I was like, it's just gonna be us here for a minute, like. And she's like, oh, I play with kids in the day, like she was referring to school. And then my daughter looked at her and she was like, them kids bad as hell like that. She was just like, yeah. So she was just kind of like saying like, I'm cool with no kids being here at night. You could just see it on her face, like, I'm good. They don't have to be here at night. I'm good with us.
Well, hopefully, like with Wild Child, well, you keep giving us updates on Wild Child as she's over in Germany. About You'll keep giving us updates about what kind of nickname should we call her?
Oh, we've just been calling her Yaya, which is just like a nickname that she had at the camp and at school. That's what her teachers called her and stuff. So the one thing that I know that they have to do it, but it was just upsetting for me, is they had to do like a physical check of her. And
Mhm.
if nobody's like abused you in that way, it's evasive. So they were asking her questions and she was just kind of like, no, but they had to check anyway. And that was hard for me to like, don't, she says she's good. Like, you don't have to check, but they did have to check. I think it was just, I was like, yeah, one of the nurses just stayed in there and I just had to like walk away because I felt like I was gonna like snap, even though they were just doing their jobs. Like, don't touch her. But I know that they had to. So one of the things that my daughter said, she was like, it was a homeless camp, not a church. Like, and I was
Yeah,
just like, I know, it was just hard to see that they had to check her like that. But she
and she
was
was
fine.
fine.
Yeah, she was fine. The
Perfect.
only thing she had to do was catch up on her immunizations. Um, they had an expired EpiPen because she has some food allergies. And luckily with the assistance that she's getting, we were able to get her like a new EpiPen and all that stuff. So yeah.
Well, I mean, that's a nice story. That's a good story and good for this little girl. She, like I told you in the text, she kind of hit the lottery when she was looking for help. You run into Old Soul, you're doing all right. So I'm sure things are going to be great with Yaya, and we'll keep track of how things are going with her as we talk to you more.
Yeah. Well, my brother,
Now,
he was like, hey, can I tell Boomer? No, he calls you Mike. He's like, hey, can I tell Mike? Can I let him know? And I was like, yeah, go ahead. I was going to tell him when I got home anyway, so you can tell him what you want. And
Did
he
he
was
tell
just
you
like,
what I said? Did he tell you what I said?
he
I
was like, I'm
said,
surprised, but not surprised.
yeah, exactly. I'm surprised, but I'm not surprised. Um,
Yeah.
so but in addition to that good news and all the good things happening there, um, you got some kind of difficult things you got to deal with right now, and I know it's not that easy for you. And I told you, I said we don't have to talk about this on the show if you don't want to, but I think you do. Um, and later, and a little bit later, we'll get to the news stuff because there's some fucking crazy shit going on just today and tomorrow. Uh, but why don't you tell us the situation, your personal situation, that is being affected by the political bullshit that's going on in this country?
Yeah, my honey was offered a job because they don't see that with a lot of these visas, especially for like tech, medicine, research, development, like R&D and stuff like that. A lot of these other countries are recruiting immigrants from America to their countries. And he got recruited a while ago. You and I talked about it, but he was just like, nope, I'm staying here with you. We not going nowhere. But it's just not safe for him to stay here. One of the things you seen that, when he got up to exercise in the morning, he got jumped by
Yeah,
some guys.
right.
Um, One of the parents in our community is a white guy, and so him and my honey go to the gym every morning. And so he puts like a Lyft sticker in his window, and he puts like my honey in the back seat, and he drives because my honey is really scared of driving, and I don't blame him for that. Like, what if I get pulled over? What's going to happen? And he shouldn't have to live like that. The girls, like when they're in public, they like try not to like talk and be like happy and loud and laughing and stuff like they normally do because they think like if somebody hears their accent and see that they're black, it's going to be a problem.
Right.
Um, so we talked about it, and he got another offer, and I pretty much told him like, hey, we could try. I could travel back and forth. It's going to be all right. Or we just gonna have to break up because it's very selfish to make you guys stay here and go through that. Um, in particular now since they're declaring war on Antifa. We know Antifa isn't an organization, but black people, we know what that means. That means,
Right.
oh yeah, we're getting ready to come after black people now. So it's bad now, and it's just kind of like when you think about history, people who tried to wait to the last minute to leave, those are the people who just didn't get out. And I didn't
So
want to put him in.
yeah, so people understand this. Her boyfriend, significant other, is from Africa, correct?
Yeah, some South Africa.
And he has two daughters, and they live in
Yeah.
this country in Las Vegas. And you've
Mhm.
been in a relationship for some time. You got a good relationship. There's no problems there. But he is an immigrant. He happens to be black. And as you said, that's not exactly safe in this country anymore for whatever reason. So this issue is being created almost directly by Donald Trump. This is the issue you're dealing with personally because of Donald Trump. So because
In
he's an
addition,
engineer, he's
yeah,
been
and in
offered
addition,
jobs and he's just not willing to take them because he doesn't want to leave you behind.
yeah, and then in addition to that, Trump came out with that executive order where
Yeah.
companies are going to have to pay $100,000 if they hire immigrants on visas like his. And his employer was very like honest about it. Like that's going to be like it's going to hit our pockets hard. Like this isn't like a huge company. Like we're not Amazon. We're not Meta or anything like that. In addition to that, a lot of people, what they don't know about that executive order is it gives Trump the ability to charge or not charge a company. So it's not like if you hire people on certain visas, you automatically have to pay this $100,000. He could not charge you that amount if you brought in immigrants from, I guess, countries that they approve of in the tech fields,
Yeah.
then you be charged that visa. So if you wanted to bring in someone from like Europe on a tech visa, they're not going to charge you that $100,000. But if you have immigrants on those visas from bound countries, then they are going to charge you that $100,000. Or
Wow.
if you are a friend of his, you donate to him, you get him a gift or something like that, then he can make an exception and not charge your company that fee. So his company isn't going to pay that shakedown fee. Um, so they'll still have their engineers and their techs, but they're just going to end up getting them from other countries. So not only
So,
is it not safe, but they're taking away his livelihood as well.
so when he got this offer, sounds like it was a great offer, better
It's
offer than he has here.
a,
Uh, and he still wasn't going to take it until you kind of pushed the issue. You said, you got to go. It's safer. It's better for your family. Obviously, you don't want him to go, but you thought that was the better option for him. That had to be incredibly tough.
yeah, I don't think it's the better option. I kind of think it's the only option. The videos that I sent of you in South Africa, you see like when the tribe was around and they did their little dance, you see like it's just dirt, right? And like that's where he's from. That's his tribe. That's his home. That's his community. And you didn't work this hard to like bring yourself and your daughters from the dirt, like literally from the dirt. And
Right.
him and his first wife got a divorce because he sacrificed and came here so that he can send money back and bring them here. But he still like, helps out his family there. Like when he gets paid, he sends them money, make sure they're good and there's no problem. So just like to lose your livelihood and not be able to help them, it's like this ripple effect. It affects all of them, not just us. In addition to that, if you were detained, we don't know where you're at, and then at the same time they're still not being helped either. So like
Was
it's
there
not
ever
even a
was there
decision. You gotta do what you gotta do.
was there ever any part of you that said, "Shit, I'll just go with him"? I know
um
why you wouldn't, because you got so much shit in Vegas that you're involved with, not only your family but the community and all that stuff. So that would make it almost impossible to do.
yeah, my mind automatically went to like, we'll just figure it out. And then he started binge watching 90 Day Fiance. So it's just kind of like, I guess let him know that people do this all the time. So like, all right, if you want to watch all the seasons of 90 Day Fiance with their crazy selves, if that gives you hope, go for it. I'm not a huge fan of that show because it seems like they pick the craziest people in
Of
international
course.
relationships to put on there. But for whatever reason, he likes that show and he always feels like it's gonna be all right. So he's watching that show like crazy. But yeah,
Well, the thing is even though you're making this separation, you guys obviously have a connection and a relationship and such. And the situation that Donald Trump's in and this country's in currently, we're kind of in a state of flux. So things could change in the not too distant future. So there
I
are
think
possibilities down the road.
these countries with I'm not countries, these companies that are happy right now with their tax breaks and stuff, because I know for a fact that his district manager voted for Trump, right?
Yeah.
Um, they have to understand that the where you lose for the tax breaks or whatever, right? It's just not gonna add up. It's
No,
really not. When they
it's
start
going to
stripping
fail.
you of if they start stripping you of your workforce and then they start charging these, I call them shakedown fees because that's exactly what it is. Um, at some point, they are going to feel that. Especially like he's working for a really good company. They're profitable. Everybody like they make a lot of money. It's all good. They have government contracts. It is all good. But Donald Trump does not care about that. He doesn't care about that at all. Like you need to give him his money or he's gonna do what he can to get his money. So it's like you gonna give me my money or you gonna give me my money. So either you're gonna be paying me $100,000 for these visas, or you're gonna be buying me a gift, or you're gonna be donating to the campaign or whatever the heck he's raising money for. The presidential library, his employer got an email asking for a donation for the presidential library is crazy. So you're gonna give me my money, you're gonna give me my money. And it's just like when you look at your tax benefit at the end of the year, I don't think it's going to be anywhere near the shakedown
No.
fees that you're going to have to pay this month. It's just not.
Well, how did his company respond when the guy said, "Look, I got to go. I got to take another job. I got a better opportunity. It's safe. They don't have to pay $100,000 just to let me work here." Did the company react? I mean, because it sounds like he's a smart guy and he's a good employee and such. It's got to be troubling
Mhm.
when you've got a company that's going well and you've got a good employee, but now you're losing them for some bullshit.
This isn't new. They've lost employees before. And as an effort to try not to lose any more employees, they start allowing his project manager and then like my honey are the people that's under his project manager. They're all like working remotely now just to try to, and then they cut down one of their locations to save on overhead costs. But you can only cut back so much because at the end of the year, you're going to have to pay.
Yeah.
Or you can bring in who they tell you to bring in, but you already have a crew that knows the systems. They know what's going on. They're on top of their projects. Everything's getting pushed through. There's no problems going on. But when you start bringing in like these people from European countries, you have to retrain them. And the first time that my honey got an offer, he had coworkers that accepted that offer. So there's people who's been there since the first time you and I talked about it.
Wow.
So they're kind of used to losing employees at this time. And I think a lot of people, certain students, visas and things like that, that are going to other countries, like these universities, these employers, um, they're used to losing people. A lot of like cancer research and different things like that, they don't just stop developing technology and medicines to help. They just go to other countries and they just continue their research and they continue their work in these other countries. So
Right.
people are used to um, the brightest and the smartest going to other countries now. They're
Okay.
they're used to it. His boss wasn't like surprised. My honey put in his notice. He had his offer letter and everything, and he did say like, "Hey, if this changes around, you're gonna be like the first person I call back." um, and if you think they're gonna hire Americans, they're not because they're not paying American wages. In addition to that, and I think this is going to be part of the problem when they start bringing in Europeans to fill these positions. Like my honey doesn't get overtime. If they tell him he needs to work on a project and he has a week to do that project, he doesn't get overtime if he has to stay late and work on that project. He just has to finish it in a week. So however many hours it is that he take, he's still getting his 40 hours and that's it, not a penny more. And I feel like good luck with Europeans coming over here and being cool with that.
Yeah, no, they aren't going to be happy with that. Well, we're caught up on what Old Soul's got going on. Great with
Except for the,
Yaya. What's
yeah,
that?
but I think people are going to be asking about the solidarity with the transgender symbol in the
Okay, yeah,
background.
absolutely.
Um, one of their our kids, the older kids, they had a friend that was transgender, and she committed suicide. Can I say that on YouTube? Do I have to say
Oh
unalive?
wow,
She unalived herself, and so they asked me if I could ask you if I could put the solidarity in the
absolutely.
background. I told them yes, you could. They have the solidarity necklaces, and then also the bracelets that we've been wearing. So that's just a direct assault on children. Um, yeah,
All we're with this administration, all we deal with is tragedy after tragedy after tragedy, and it's you would think it'd be getting tiring for the Republicans, but we have yet to see that be the case for them. Um, by all means, if you don't support other people, different people, you don't need to be listening to the show. But I know everybody out there listening is of a like mind and is compassionate too. So by all means, we need to talk about that too.
the kids
The
will
the
definitely appreciate it and appreciate seeing the background. I
Well,
think,
and I tell you this, I will tell the kids too. There are a lot of kids that just go through life and um, play with their toys or go out, depending on how old they are, and they don't have the compassion because not because they're not compassionate, but because they're kids and they're thinking about other stuff. So these kids to think about that and be compassionate about that, that says a lot about those kids. And I'll just say this: you kids, whatever ages you are, I have great admiration for your thought process and you're supporting other people that need help. So don't thank me. I thank you for being those kids and those people who will make this country better when it's years from now when you're older. So thank you for doing that.
yeah, there's still the Trevor Project for LGBTQ youth that's struggling with that.
Yeah.
They can always reach out to the Trevor Project, even though they tried. They didn't try. They shut down the suicide hotline for LGBTQ from the government, but they still have the Trevor Project, and they can always reach out to them. I think for her, she was just kind of tired. There's a lot of demonization towards children that are different.
Yeah, people and kids can be horrible, and we can only hope that through actions like this we can make better people out there. But it is frustrating. It is angering. I mean, I'm at that point when we're talking about this whole Trump thing and the administration. Uh, I'm not just mad about it anymore. I'm pretty angry about it. And part of me, the Neanderthal side of me, would love to grab any Trumplefuck by the throat and shake him into unconsciousness. Honest to God, I really would. It's just very frustrating to me when I see people suffering because of dumbasses. Whether it be my family, whether it be somebody that comments, it really is starting to piss me off. We've got a big thing going on right now. At this point, as we're recording this, it's 10:14 Central Time. That means it's 11:14 Eastern Time. And that means in 46 minutes, presumably, the country will shut down. The government will shut down because they haven't been able to come up with some agreement for continuing resolution. Now, I want people to understand something. The last time this government shut down was 7 years ago. And guess in whose administration? Donald Trump's administration. And that shutdown was the longest shutdown in the history of this country, like 34 days. So Donald Trump is the shutdown president. You can try to blame the Democrats, but what people don't, they know they're in a losing battle. They're going to get the blame as much as they want the Democrats to take the blame. They're going to get the blame. And the bottom line is this. There's other reasons for it, but on October 1st, the day you're listening to this, the subsidies or the support for the ACA is going away if they cut this deal that the Republicans want. That
Yeah,
means your insurance is going to raise incredibly. People are going to lose by the millions. People are going to lose health care. And the Republicans are trying to fight this by saying, oh, they just want to spend $1 trillion and give illegal aliens health care, which isn't at all true. It's a ridiculous lie. So the Republicans are going to try to have to deal with the fact, well, we don't want to negotiate with you because we'd rather take away health care from millions of people. And finally, the Democrats are getting some backbone. They're standing up and saying, there's no argument here. We're not going to bend just so we don't shut down the country. We're not going to sacrifice millions of people with their health care. We're not going to bend. And of course, Donald Trump and the Republicans do what they always do. They double down, they triple down, they try to force you and push you back until you give up. And I've said this all along since we started this whole thing years ago. If they're a bully, you don't back down because they're coming again and again and again. And I've been proven right every time, every time we've seen this. You need to kick them in the nuts, slap the taste out of their mouth, and knock them on their ass. That's the only way that you deal with these people. So I'm just curious your thoughts about the shutdown and such.
I think that I think that they are lucky that they have Jeffries and Schumer, and the only thing that they're asking for is to reserve health care for millions of Americans. Because
Right.
for me personally, and this is just me, and I'm not a politician, but I'll be telling them to go F themselves.
Yeah.
This whole country is going to be shut down because I refuse to support a fascist government, period. If you just want to steal money, you want to keep your hand in grandma's purse, you want to give all the money to your friends, you want to put military in the street, you want to just roam lawless and do whatever the hell you want to, and then you want me to sign off on that in the form of a budget, I'm not going to do that. The fact
Right.
that they signed off on that big but ugly bill and tried to compromise the first time is all the proof that they need, while they don't need to make that same mistake again. Because
Right.
people
Exactly.
don't understand how bad it is going to be. One of the reasons they don't understand how bad it's going to be is because it's not called the Affordable Care Act or Obamacare in every state. Like every state calls it something different, whether it's Medi-Cal or whatever they call it in your state. It's still government assisted healthcare, right?
Right.
And a lot of people, they really don't understand that, yes, you are under the Affordable Care Act, and they're not going to research and like it's just baffling to me that that you are on a government funded healthcare plan, that you don't say, they're cutting government funded health insurance. Let me see if that's going to affect me. The fact that nobody, like in some of these states that are not curious and not asking that question, is beyond me. However, I do think that there are a lot of Americans that are on those type of programs who are understanding and who are waking up to that. Like they really do get it, because the last poll that I saw on who would be blamed for a government shutdown, the poll showed that Republicans would be blamed by over double digits.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
America knows who is going to be at fault for this government shutdown. And since you have the people behind you, the only thing that the Democrats need to do is just hold firm, message, 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 message. You know who else knows that Republicans are going to be blamed for this? Donald Trump. I
Yeah.
saw them play a Fox News clip of him saying during, I think it was like when he was trying to get the government shut down under Biden. They're not going to see who's in Congress. They don't care who has control of the Senate. They don't care who has control of the House. They are going to say who is the president at the time of the shutdown, and that's who they are going to blame. That came out of Donald Trump's mouth. So he knows he is going to be blamed for the government shutdown. So no matter how many times he takes his butt on national television and he lies and he blames it on immigrants and he blames it on the left and he says that we want to do transgenderism or whatever the heck that's supposed to mean, or that it's just going to be a bunch of immigrants all over the insurance. He can do that song and dance all he wants to. At the end of the day, he knows, we know, Jeffrey knows, Schumer knows, we all know that that blame is going to be at his feet and the Republicans' feet. That's it, that's all. So these threats that he's making and all that other kind of crap, he is going to get the blame of it. That's why every time you turn around here in front of a camera telling them lies, he's trying to make those lies stick. It ain't gonna work. It's not gonna
Well,
work. They
the
oh
other way he knows this, proof that he knows this, as soon as it looked like the Democrats won't back down this time, he
yeah.
makes a threat like a bully does. He says,
Oh
"Okay, if you shut it down, I'm going to do mass firings in the federal government," thinking that the Democrats will say, "Oh my God, not that. We better give in to him," because that's how Donald Trump does business. We
yeah.
know he knows. Um, and we know that shutdowns are bad and affect a lot of people, and I'm sorry for that. But I got to be honest with you, just to make a point and to change the narrative a little bit. I think we need to have it shut down. The
Yeah.
Democrats, for once, have to step up and say, no, fuck you. And I would take it even further. If I'm in negotiations with Donald Trump, knowing how Donald Trump thinks, I would say, look, Donald, you're going to either give us what we want, or we'll keep this motherfucker shut down until the midterms, and
Hmm.
you'll have to deal with that for the next year, year and 3 months. We just won't do it at all. We know people are suffering, will suffer from it, but they're already fucking suffering. The only
Yeah.
way we can stop the people from suffering is to get you the fuck out. So maybe we have to burn down the forest before we can get you out, but we're willing to do it at this point.
I would have no problem telling him that because we all know how he is behind closed doors. Gavin Newsom said, like, when it came to the wildfires and all these lies and stuff he's spreading on national television, he said when he talked to Donald Trump on the phone, it was like, hey, how's it going? And he wanted to talk about the White House and decorating and all this other kind of crazy crap, right? Everybody says when they sitting down to him face to face, he's nice, he's charming, he's all of these things. And then you turn around and he posting crap on social media. He just did the same thing with Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer with that racist ass video that he posted. It's just kind of like, I would let him know, like, hey, I'm sitting in front of your face. This is what I'm telling you. This is what it's going to be. And you can go on social media and post whatever the hell you want to, but we are not budging.
Yeah.
Call me when you're ready to make a deal, period. And then I would get up and I would walk off. I would not even entertain him having meetings and doing all this other kind of crap. You know what we want. We know what you're asking for. Do what you got to do. And that's it. I don't think people realize how bad it's going to be. People who have insurance. I'm not even talking about people on government health care, how bad it is going to be for your insurance, your premiums, your rates, your deductibles. I'm talking about either double or 75% increase. So just think
Yeah.
about how much you pay in premiums and double that. And then try to figure out how you are going to take a quarter of your income and spend it on premiums, just premiums. Forget the co-pays, forget the out-of-pocket costs, forget all of that. Just premiums. Because insurance, and I work for an insurance company, one way or another, they're going to get their money. And if they
Yeah.
don't have government funded health care that's going to pay that, you are going to pay that. Period. They don't really care. They don't care.
No. Well, the thing about it is, I think in Donald Trump's delusional mind, he kind of likes the idea of a shutdown because it makes him look tough. Yeah, I don't care. We'll shut it down. But he's
Yeah.
going to go through some things. This country's going to go through some things. It's all going to be put on him. He's going to be blamed for it. And just like everything he does, he will fuck around and find out. He'll be the tough guy and say, we're going to do this. And then, whoops, we're going to kick Jimmy Kimmel off and he'll stay off because we got these people in their pocket. Didn't quite work out well because he fucked around and found out. And so did the people that knelt to him. So I
I
kind of
think
want the
with
shutdown to happen, and I hate that people are going to have to suffer through it. But we are where we are now because of the way we voted. People are suffering mightily now, and I just want it over as quickly as possible, as opposed to letting this go on for the next 3 years.
yeah, I think with the Jimmy Kimmel, and I'm a Jimmy Kimmel stan. Like
I'm not really either.
Kelsey and I, no, I'm a stan. Like Kelsey and I, we were always like, look, we gotta go to a live show. Like I had a dream one time that I was drinking tequila with Camaro on the show. But anyway, I'm a stan. I like Jimmy Kimmel, but it's not that as a whole, the right and the left was standing on protecting free speech. What
Right.
it was is they were treating him the same way that they have been allowed to silence minorities like Jamal Hill, Joy Reid, Mehdi Hassan. Like when these people were counseled for free speech, these are Black and brown people. There was no
Right.
boycotts, there was no uproar. People didn't care about that. But when they saw this happen to Jimmy Kimmel, and it's like, oh no, you're not gonna treat him like the Black and the brown people that you telling to shut up. America has a problem with that. And so that's what the problem are. Like they are crossing the lines of the people they can beat up on and the people that society is not going to tolerate them being beaten on, right? So you can
Right.
see immigrants getting ripped from their family, children crying, being windows busted out, pulled out of your car in front of your children in the back seat because they don't want to wait for your wife to come and get her children, right? But when you see ICE hitting a white woman in her face, pushing a white woman on the ground, stepping on a white woman, now you have a problem. So the
Yeah.
mistake that they are making is like during the civil rights movement, white people didn't like to see black people just walking down the street getting bitten by dogs and sprayed by hoses. They're not doing nothing. They just are trying to get their rights, right? Like they didn't want to see that. But since that happened, they started having programmed into their minds, oh, well, they're just tearing down buildings. They are throwing bricks at police officers. They are tearing down cities, burning down
Right.
cities. And then when it comes to immigrants, they're rapists, they're murderers, they're this, they're that. So they've groomed like white America to see us as like troublemakers. Well, all you had to
Right.
do was comply. They wouldn't have beat you with the baton if you would have just, you know, if you would have just, applied with them and just went along with what they was telling you to do. Why are you talking back? Why are you trying to resist, right? When it comes to immigrants, yeah, they didn't do anything wrong, but they're criminals because they came here illegally. And if they did come
Right.
here legally, well, you know what? They can go anyway because they black or brown. But when you see them doing this to white people on television, they don't have an excuse for that. And so that's what's angering them. And that's the mistake that they're making is they are crossing the line of what is not acceptable and what is going to be accepted. So they needed to stay with the black and brown people to keep pushing on us. And they probably would have been able to get further. But what they're doing right now to like white people is what's gonna get them hurt. That's what I
Yeah,
gotta say about that part.
you're probably right about that. Unfortunately, that's a sad commentary on the country. That being the case, in addition
Well, I
to
mean,
this
did
shutdown
say
thing,
Yeah,
what's that?
we did say there's a reason that we're not gonna let like black bodies be out there protesting now. I'm the
Right.
exception to the rule because I'll be out there. But we were just like, hey, we're not gonna put black bodies out there because they're not gonna care when they see that. So you see these white bodies out there, and because they don't have any other way to scare people or to excuse them putting the military in the street. They have to start targeting the people that's there. And the people that's there right now is majority white people. And America is seeing that on TV and they're not with it. And so that's the mistake that they're making. They are crossing the line and messing with the wrong group of people. So I think that's what's going on with the free speech issue. And then when you look at the right, it wasn't like all these people on the right. Like if you look online, most people was like, yeah, he's disrespecting Chucky. And when I say Chucky, it's because our kids call him Chucky because when they say Charlie Kirk, like online, they're not allowed to do that. So they just started calling him Chucky. But anyway, so when he disrespected Chucky, he said something he wasn't supposed to say about Chucky, right? But look at the people who had a problem with it, who didn't want that to happen.
Yeah.
What's his name from Texas? Ted Cruz. He has a podcast. Megan Kelly, she has a podcast. All of these people who had a problem with Jimmy Kimmel, the people from the right, every single one of these people have a podcast. They make their money from talking. They take their money from their podcast and being able to say whatever they want. They understand that the next time they get that phone call, and Donald Trump tells them to stop talking about the Epstein files, they are going to have to shut up. If not, they're going to end up like Jimmy Kimmel. That's what they knew. But anybody who
It's
didn't have a podcast on the right, they didn't care nothing about Jimmy Kimmel. They was like celebrating it online. It's the people who make money off of being able to talk. Even Candace Owens, all of these people, they got podcasts. They got money invested into this. They don't want the Trump administration being able to tell them, you can't talk about this. You can only talk about that. You got to support Israel, blah, blah, blah. They are the ones that had a problem. And the good thing about that is, even though they were doing it for selfish reasons, they were able to push that message into their audience and the people that was listening. So even though they didn't care what happened to Jimmy Kimmel, the people that they listened to had a problem with it. And then that's why they started taking it seriously. Even Steve Bannon, he had a problem with it. Why? Because he got a podcast. It's the only reason why these people care. But the good
There's
part
that.
about that is that
There's actually one more reason. There's one more reason for it.
hmm,
And it's a rarity among Republicans, but there's a little foresight to it. And when I say foresight, I mean if Donald Trump can go in and take Jimmy Kimmel off the air as the president of the United States, that sets a precedence.
yeah,
Everybody knows there's going to be Democrats in charge. There may be a Democratic president in the near future. If Donald Trump can do it, then the Democratic president can go, we got Fox News, who's been sued for $1 billion and lost the case. We need to take them off the air. They see what could come when the tide turns, and they're a little nervous about that. That's why it was a bridge too far. Not to mention that they have their own media outlets that they make money off of. So they were all thinking about themselves, and these Republicans, some of them, were thinking more in the future than I normally give them credit for. Now, with it, what's interesting about this whole shutdown thing and what was going on in Congress, we know we were 4 days from dealing with this shutdown, and what does Mike Johnson do? That pussy ass bitch decides to take a vacation for 4 days, not because he doesn't want to talk about the shutdown, but because he's trying to hide from the Jeffrey Epstein files. I mean, this guy is so transparent as to who he is and what he is. The situation, of course, is the special election in Arizona. This woman was elected as a Democrat. She acknowledged she would be the 218th signer on this discharge petition. And Mike Johnson is nervous. Donald Trump is nervous about it. They could have seated her on Tuesday night when they were back for a short session. And now today on Wednesday, they're back. So we would presume they would seat her and then she would sign the petition, then the shit's going to fly. Unless he tries to avoid it again. And I don't know what the ramifications are if he just doesn't seat her because he's required to do that. That's part of his job. But it was interesting. There was somebody on TikTok and their videos got taken down. I don't know if you saw this. Just a guy, not a company, not a politician. He's probably from the LGBT community. He said, uh, he said, Mike Johnson, you better seat her by Wednesday, or I'm releasing your grinder profile. Needless to say, TikTok took it down, but not before millions of people saw it. So it's going to be interesting to see how that all plays out today. Is he going to seat her? Is there going to be a release of a profile that he may not be too proud of? Um, but, but this all ties into the tell you how worried they are about the Epstein files. They were ready. They're willing to shit can the shutting down of the entire country just to try to delay or protect Donald Trump from the Epstein files. That's fucking crazy.
you know what's funny about that? People don't remember, and if I could find a video, I'll send it to you. That's not the first person that outed Mike Johnson. It's
No,
just
no, no.
so there's other videos of men outing him for his um, behind closed doors behavior, which nobody has a problem with that. But if you're going to be out here attacking people and expecting those same people to help keep your secret, you a fool.
Yeah,
I did see that guy's video when he was just saying like I'm mentally stable, I would never harm myself. It was
right.
reminiscent of that same message that Marjorie Taylor Greene had left. The thing about the Epstein file, which is so adolescent, is how do you not know by now that sooner or later you're gonna have to deal with this? You know what I mean? Like I look at it as like when he's like counseling days in Congress and they're not coming to work or whatever. That's like if I didn't get my work done and I'm just calling in all the time, using all my PTO. Eventually, I'm gonna run out of PTO, so I'm either gonna go to work or I'm not gonna get paid. And when I go to work, I'm gonna have to deal with this, right? So it's just kind of like sooner or later, you got to go to work. Sooner or later, You have to deal with this. And I think what Republicans needs to do, and this is just me, they're not going to act like anybody with sense, is they need to just kind of like get together and be like, hey, what are we going to do? We going to have to go to work. And when we get to work, we know that we're going to have to swear this woman in. And when we swear her in, she going to sign on the dotted line. When that happens, what do we need to do?
Right.
And they understand collectively that they have to go on the record to say they're either supportive of releasing the files or they are not supportive of releasing the files. But they just need to get together and say, hey, are we going to support it or are we not going to support it? Personally, I would just say, hey, we've been taking hits, we've been taking L's, we've been looking like plum fools out here on national television in front of the world. Like Donald Trump could take one of these bullets. Why we got to keep taking it? So why don't we
Right.
go ahead and
Exactly.
just sign to support the files, put it on his desk, and let him veto it, and let him make whatever excuse it is that he wants to make. But that's what I would do. I would go ahead and just sign to release it, knowing that the files are not going to get released. Let Donald Trump take that L for vetoing it and not allowing those files to be released. That's what
Well,
I would do. How many
but
times are you gonna have a bullet for this man? You're not Superman. You gonna get hit sooner or later. You gonna get hit. It's just like I don't get it. They just so cowardice to me. It's
but
weird.
that's the thing about this. It isn't about the actual release of the Epstein files. I'm still
Yeah,
not convinced they'll ever be released as long as Donald Trump is in charge. They will not be released. Like you say, he could veto it or do whatever he does. I think
yeah,
the real fear is what you said, is if this gets to the floor,
yeah,
then people have to attach themselves to whatever they vote for. It's public. You
yeah,
voted to continue to hide the Epstein files. And when you're up for election, people are going to say, what the fuck? Why did you do that? What kind of bullshit can you tell me to suggest why you wouldn't vote to release them? And
yeah,
they just don't want to be put in that position. They're
yeah,
nervous about that shit. They're terrified about that shit. And I'm not expecting the files to be released anytime soon. We're getting little drips and drabs of things coming out that are plenty embarrassing. It may not happen until Donald Trump is dead and gone or whatever, where we'll see the files. The files will come out eventually. But if it
yeah.
can fuck with the Republicans and Donald Trump for the next period of time we need to fuck with them, I'm all ready for that. Let's do it. Let's expose these motherfuckers for who they are, and then let them decide that taking a bullet for Donald Trump was not a wise choice.
I think if they want to go on record for not releasing the files, delaying is not the play. I think the further away from the election that you could do that, the better. Like people are
Yeah,
not going to like forget it. However, like that sting and that gut punch, it's a lot easier to have that in 2025 than it is in 2026. So it's like the more they procrastinate, the more they delay it, the closer to the election is going to be, and the worse it's going to be. The one thing that they need to do, no matter which way it is that they want to go with this, is just face it head on. Period. Like you got to deal with it. Eventually, you have to deal with it. And this is an instance where the sooner you deal with it, the better it is going to be for you in the end because the American people has a short attention span. You know what I mean? And the coat gonna ride with him regardless of what he says or does. It doesn't really matter. But I think the further away from the election that they do that, the better for them. Do I think that they are going to delay it even more? Yeah. They
they're
just
going to try, but I don't know how much they can do. You're right. You got to rip the Band-Aid off, and you're right about people's forgetting about things. And the further away from the election, that
yeah.
is going
I
to make it
also
easier for
think
them. However, they'll people aren't going to be satisfied till that stuff is released. And if you
yeah.
listen to the Rational Boomer podcast, anybody who voted to hide the Epstein files, I'll be here to remind you like every week, oh, it's these motherfuckers. And there'll be other media outlets, other podcasters that do the same thing.
And let me remind
They thought they'd forget about it when they took what, 3 months off? Oh, they'll just
yeah.
forget about it. They didn't forget
And
about
I
it.
want to remind people who listen to the Rational Boomer podcast, 90% of the information that's floating out there about the Epstein files, other than what's been coming out under the Epstein estate, came under the Biden administration. Because people don't
Right.
understand, Epstein was arrested, put in jail, and unalived during the Trump
Killed, murdered.
administration. Yeah, and
Right.
when under that all happened under the Trump administration. But you know what they didn't do? They didn't release anything in regards to that. When Biden came out, the only things that he didn't release was the files, and the reason that he wasn't releasing that information is because there, what's her name, Giselle Maxwell, had appeals going on, and there was
Right.
like different things with the grand jury and stuff that's going on, so he couldn't release that stuff, right? So what we
Right.
have, what we know, came out under the Biden administration. Why people are walking? Well, I know why people don't know that because Democrats are not telling them that. They are allowing these people to walk around talking about, well, why did the Biden administration release it? Why they didn't do the Biden? They released what they could release at that time. But
Right.
for whatever reason, like Republicans are able to create this bubble and this narrative of whatever it is that they concoct in their minds, and people are just supposed to live in this imaginary world that they have. The Trump administration didn't release anything. What we know, you remember when the flight laws came out under Joe Biden? All of this stuff came out under Biden. What we know came out under Biden. What we are not getting released is because the Trump administration is in office. That's when the release of information stops. And the only like stuff that we are having like drip, 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 drip out is coming from the Democrats in the oversight committee.
Right.
Republicans aren't releasing none of that. This is not the DOJ that's releasing any of this. This isn't Trump releasing any of this. This is the Democrats, even though they are not under the Biden administration, they are still fighting to get this information released. I don't know
Well,
why Democrats are not saying this. It's just
well,
beyond me the ability to
and
message.
this is
To women.
standard procedure for the Republicans. I mean, think about this a second. Donald Trump, an attempted assassination on his life. We don't know anything about that shit. We don't know anything about the details. Was it shrapnel? Was it a bullet? Did he get hit at all? Who was the
Yeah.
guy? Why did he do it? How did he do it? Charlie Kirk. Everything about that situation is confusing and doesn't make sense. The shooter in Dallas, we don't know anything about that. It's funny about the Republicans and Donald Trump always talk about transparency, but we don't know shit about these things. And maybe
We
if
don't
we
even have
did know
Trump's
more about
medical
these
records
things, we'd be upset.
from that shot. That we don't have his medical records for that.
No, how is that possible?
Why don't we
How
release
it
them files?
just doesn't make sense. Now as we're in the home stretch here, we got a little time left, but I wanted to talk about the other event that happened.
That second
What's
attempt in Florida,
what's that?
that guy was convicted,
Which
and
guy? Oh,
the
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 guy at the golf course.
yeah, he was convicted, and he had like little outbursts in court and everything, right?
Right.
What does Donald Trump talk about? Comey. Oh, I'm so happy that they arrested him. He is such a crook and a dirty cop or whatever. Not one post, not one message, not one statement, not one anything about great job to the wannabe assassin, for the DOJ and this great job they did, or whatever
Right.
state it was, for arresting him and convicting him and putting him away. So if you could come out and you could talk about Comey and all this other kind of crap, but the guy who was just convicted of trying to shoot your head off your shoulders, zip, zipped, nada. He doesn't have anything to say about that, which is when you think about that, like if you just sit back and you just think about that for a minute, you have to know it doesn't make sense.
No, it
Absolutely,
doesn't.
he too damn much not to say anything about that. Like nothing at all. Nothing.
No,
Even when he talked about his anniversary of being quote unquote shot, he didn't mention the assassin. He didn't mention
no,
none of that.
no, he
Anyway,
didn't. You
it's
know what's
crazy.
interesting about the Comey thing? I'm well known for saying that just let Donald Trump talk, he'll fuck
Mhm.
himself up every time. So he goes after James Comey, something that they investigated 5 years ago. They pushed the DOJ. He basically leveraged the DOJ to go after him in short order because the statute of limitations would have been up in like 3 days before they or after they actually indicted him. Um,
Yeah.
but this case is so weak with Comey, it makes no sense. It if it goes to trial,
Yeah.
there's no way that Comey's going to be convicted of anything. But even before that, Donald Trump can't shut up. So he's putting things out on Truth Social that are basically sinking that whole thing. He may not even go to trial. They're going to ask to have it dismissed, and they might very well dismiss it just based on the stupid shit that Donald Trump is saying.
I think Comey wants to go to trial, and I don't blame him.
Well, I do
I
too.
want to go to trial, and I want to prove malicious prosecution, and I want all of this documented so that I can get my. I'm never gonna work again for my life. My grandkids is taken care of off of the government's back. I think that is part of the reason that he wants to go to trial so that he can turn around and sue the DOJ. And this is not anything that any normal person wouldn't do. Heck, I would do it.
Yeah.
I would be looking at the kids in my community like, forget these roofs and stuff that we got for y'all. We got a whole school built. Like, that's what my mind would be. The government is to build us a school. That's what my mind would be. And like I said this before, Comey wasn't the move. What they should have did is target Letitia James, and they should have targeted Fonnie Willis for some reason. They could just make it up, mortgage fraud, whatever. That's who they should have targeted
Well, they
because
did. They did target Letitia James, but the prosecutor said, "Yeah, ain't nothing here."
said the same thing about James Comey too. He could have made something up. He could have put something through. That's where he
True.
should have went to because the base would have ate that up. That would have grabbed headlines. Look at him dragging this black woman through the news. Look at her name, her face plastered all over the media, dragging up every skeleton that she possibly has in her closet. They would have ate that up. But James Comey, what happens? His ex um, FBI director and all these other high profile people are on there saying how bad it is, how wrong it is. You got people on the right not liking it. Like, how do you do this to this poor white man? We don't care what he did to Hillary Clinton, but you can't do that to him. Like, she was a woman. We don't care, right? They should have went with the women, and they should have went with the women of color. Why he went with Comey? This is beyond me. That's like they're overstepping, and they are starting to target people that America actually cares about being targeted, and they just that's the mistake that they make, and I'm just sitting back looking like y'all stupid.
Well, and they are stupid, and they'll keep making these mistakes, and thank God for that, because if they were bright in any sense of the imagination, we'd be even worse off now than we already are. So the fact that
That's
they're
true.
stupid, we should take that as a blessing. Now, the other big story that we had was this little shindig that Pete Hegseth decided to have. He thought he would bring in all the generals and all the admirals into Virginia at Quantico and have a little rah rah speech. Now, prior to this happening, this is what people do. People would come out and say, "Oh my God, this is it. This is the end of democracy. He's going to decapitate all of the military, or he's going to start a war, or he's going to put them on the streets to attack Americans." Now, Donald Trump did talk about that, and I said more than likely, no, based on the track record of Donald Trump and Pete Hegseth being stupid and incompetent, this whole thing is going to be stupid and an embarrassment. And more than anything, that's pretty much what it was. I mean, Pete Hegseth comes out talking to generals. Can you imagine a failed major in the National Guard lecturing generals and admirals with 30 plus years of experience and a few egos of their own? I can't imagine they were happy about this, but he was talking about grooming. He was talking about you're too fat. You need to exercise. If I can exercise, you can exercise. It,
Disrespect.
it was disrespect, and it was absolutely silly and embarrassing. And this guy thinks he did something.
The kids that like our older kids that's like learning government, they have all these cool nicknames. So with Hegseth, they call him Keg's breath.
Yeah, yeah, I've heard that.
For Keg's breath, from what I took from that was outside of the disrespect was we want you to be able to put your hands on people. Like if
Yeah.
you are in any type of leadership position, you can put your hands on people. You can say disrespectful things, like you can say tranny, you can say the N word, you can call women bees and whatever it is that you want. If you got a female coworker, you can slap her on her butt when she walking past. If you in a man's world, you're gonna have to just learn how to deal with that, right?
Right.
I also got out of that. They are trying to get rid of women in the military. What they
Right.
are not counting on is women never asked to do different PTs than what the men do. There's not women PTs and men PTs. Like they just want to be treated equally and fairly, without being sexually harassed. Like, is that asking for too much? Because when he was just saying that you can't, file any kind of like complaints or anything like that without putting your name on it, that's just kind of like saying if you snitch on somebody, we're gonna dox you in the military type thing. And the
Right.
scary part about that, I don't know if people knew this, but the Air Force had a really, really bad problem with female recruits being assaulted. And
Right.
one of the cases that I'm thinking of in particular, there was a guy who was over the women, like the new recruits in the Air Force, and he was assaulting them. And the way they knew it was him because women started to like talk and come forward. And one of the girls, she ended up being discharged because of the STD that he gave her. Like you couldn't get rid of that. And so all of these other women had that same STD and they got discharged as well. And then they traced it back to him. And so
Wow.
then it was like national spotlight. They had all these rules in place to protect the female cadets, making sure that like their chain of command involved women and different things, like different protections. Like they worked very, very hard to get those protections. In particular, the women who, or I call them girls because they were so young. They were fresh in the Air Force. Um, but even after they were discharged, they had to fight for these protections to be in place for these new female cadets. And he is just getting ready to take that all away. And as much as he says, we don't want women in men's sports and men in women's sports and all this other kind of stuff, I don't know if you caught it or not. He was just like, there is just men PTs and that's it. And that's all. Women, if you can't keep up, you can get out. That's on you. Like just the disgust and the hatred towards women that you could hear in his voice when he was up there talking. Talk about little dick energy. Like, I don't even know if he has a pecker at all. Like, how are you thinking that this makes you manly? How do you think that this is intimidating these women who have to work 10 times harder than these men that's in there and 10 times harder than you? And you got the nerve to sit up there and just let them know openly in front of the world, like, yeah, you're gonna get sexually harassed, and if you dare talk about it, you can get the hell up out of here. Like that's what I took from it as like an
Wh-
advocate for women and girls, and that was
One of the
just like,
best one of the
oh,
best memes I saw was in one video, Pete Hegseth was doing pull-ups, okay? And he
oh,
was
with
getting toward the
RFK,
end. He no, not no, I think it was Pete Hegseth. It was Pete Hegseth.
yeah, he was doing it with RFK. Did you see the full video?
Well, in this particular cut, it was only Pete Hegseth, and he's doing the
Yeah,
pull-ups and he's kicking his legs and he's struggling and all that stuff. And then they pull
yeah,
up another video of a woman who's got a baby strapped to her stomach, and she
yes,
hops up there and does perfect pull-ups, about 20 of them.
yeah.
So Mr. Kegseth got his ass kicked by not only a woman but a mother while she's carrying the fucking kid. So it's yeah, it's
The original video is like it's RFK, and then
yeah.
next to him is Pete Hegseth, and I was just like, how the heck are you calling that any kind of like workout? What the hell are you doing? And you have the nerve, like that video is out there, and you got the nerve to get on stage in front of these people and if the director, can do hard PTs every day, then you can too. And the crazy thing about that, and the crazy thing about when Donald Trump got his butt up there as well, is I keep thinking about the dignified transfers that these people refuse to go to because they don't want to face the family of fallen servicemen and women.
Right.
And you got the
Right.
nerve to just like stand up there and talk to these generals like that. It's so disrespectful. It's so in poor taste. I just, it's just like a new low. Every time you think it can't get any lower, he says, "Hold my beer," and he gets lower. It's, I don't even know how
And
to
that's
put into words how
and then
horrible.
that's the thing. If I'm a general happens to be overweight and he says, "You're a fat general," I'd say, "You're a fucking drunk Secretary of Defense." Because it's not Secretary of War yet, you stupid fuck. You're a drunk. I mean, they've got
Yeah,
videos of him at parties while he's been the Secretary of Defense. This guy didn't quit drinking like he said he would. He is got a problem, many problems, but drinking is one of them.
yeah. And when you look at technology and the way that we fight now, like when was the last time you seen people just like on the front lines, hand to hand combat, like guerrilla warfare, like what they are talking about, like you got to be raw and in shape and all that other kind of stuff. It's like there's like a lot of drones that's going on. There's like a lot of airstrikes. There's a lot of equipment where you can hit your target from far away. Um, the part that
Yeah,
makes me
the most
fear,
dangerous guy in the military might be the skinny guy with pimples and thick glasses running 50 drones over somebody and blowing up a whole fucking city.
yeah, as somebody like my honey that's out there making that drone, right?
Right,
I
right.
think that the scary part to think about it, like why do they want them in physical shape and be able to fight like face to face and confrontation is like when you look at like the meaning of that whole performance, it was these American cities, these blue states. We need to just go in there and clear them out and straighten them out. And I think that they understand that they can't go in there gun blazing, but they do want them to be able to go in there and put their hands on people.
Well,
And
yeah,
I think
yeah. You when you
underlining that's where it comes from.
when you bring that up, you're bringing up, and we're getting toward the end here, but when you bring that up, you're bringing up the section where Donald Trump showed up. Now, there was no talk of Donald Trump showing up to this meeting beforehand, but everybody knew Donald Trump doesn't like other people getting attention. So if it wasn't planned initially, he saw the attention go into Hegseth and the stupid fucking meeting, so he had to go up and he had to go talk. And watching him talk, he was very low energy. He seemed very confused. He was
He was slurring.
omitting, he was slurring, he was omitting words. He did not look good. But one of the things he said he thought was a clever idea was that he told Pete Hegseth that we should go do training in these war torn cities,
Yeah.
suggesting that the military should go in and attack American citizens, which is absolutely contrary to the Constitution and the Posse Comitatus Act. But he's standing in front of generals who understand the oath of office, understand the Constitution, and he's saying this shit. This has got to make those generals fucking wince and maybe think twice about who's leading this country.
Hopefully it does. What I think that already they pushed it too far and they're still
Yeah.
just going along with it. But one of the things that did give me hope when I saw that was the absolute silence.
When he walked out, yeah, nobody did a thing, and Trump even
Not only,
acknowledged it, and he said, "I've never been in a room this quiet."
yeah, they weren't like clap. I know that what they were looking for, as far as like him coming out and him exiting and Keg's breath exiting, was the applause and the yay and all that other kind of stuff, because I know that they were going to turn that into not just like a photo op, but like one of these propaganda videos that they like to put out there.
Right, right.
And I know that that's what they were wanting, and our military did not give them that. And sometimes silence can be very loud. And I
Yeah.
think it was kind of like a silent protest, like we're not supposed to go along with this. We're not supposed to signal the American people that we're gonna go along with this. They're gonna go up there, they're gonna talk, they're gonna do and say whatever it is that they want to say, but we're gonna let them do that. But our silence is gonna speak for us. And that was the hope that I took away from that. But for me, it doesn't mean that it's gonna always be like that because they are systematically promoting people who are loyal to Trump and not the country and the Constitution. They are
Right.
promoting people who really just don't care if they are in American cities, and they are
Well,
getting
Trump
rid of
said,
people who are not cool with that. And so sooner or later, the military is going to look differently than what it looked like today. And I think
well,
our goal is to try to, as hard as we can, to make sure that they don't reshape it into these twisted images that the Trump administration has of them, because these are people. Like, these are our families, our friends. They have lives, they have children, they have people that love them and miss them. And they're
right.
treating them like puppets, like G.I. Joe dolls. Like, we just want the strong fighting force out there. We don't want you to care about anything or anybody. We just want you to go out there and lay your life on the line because our kids ain't gonna do it. You know what I mean? We want you to, the things that they want, that they are imagining for our military to do is very, very dark and very, very scary. And
You know,
I think that they are working on making that happen.
the one thing that I kind of like what you were saying earlier, the one thing I feel good about or positive about, the Donald Trump and the Republicans seem to be at the point where they're flailing. And when they get to the point they're flailing, they do anything, they do everything. And then they get exposed not only to those of us with some intelligence, but to everybody. Where countries shutting down, Jimmy Kimmel's situation, bringing the generals and making a fool of yourself. They're at that
Yeah.
stage now where they're so desperate that they're doing anything and none of it's working very well. So they're exposing themselves more. Hopefully that will get us closer to getting out of this fucking mess with hopefully the vast majority of the country saying, a fucking enough. And even the Republicans. I mean, we worry about the military and such, and I wonder where their red line is. I don't know what it is, and I don't know if you ever reach it. It's
Yeah.
important to understand if you want to end what's going on here, the people responsible are the Republicans in Congress. They got to stop being pussy ass bitches and they've got to put a stop to this. So
Yeah.
as you suffer and go through the shit you go through, you've got one group to blame, and that is the Republican Party and the Republicans in Congress, especially.
Yeah. And listen to what they say. And like, one of the things that I do, because I do watch international television, but even when like Trump and Hexet is talking, I just in general when Republicans are talking, I will like listen to maybe like the first minute or so, and I know like the tone. I know he's slurring. I know he don't know what the hell he's talking about, and then I will mute it and I will read the words. That way, it has, for me, it's more impactful. And when
Right.
I was reading what he was saying earlier, he was saying if Democrats allow the government to shut down, we are going to take away programs and benefits that they care about, right? And he was saying, and even Mike Johnson was saying stuff like, we're going to take away WIC, we're going to take away this, we're going to take away that, we're going to fire all of these people. So when you read those words, what they are saying is all of these programs that help the American people, we are going to take all of that away from you so that it'll hurt Democrats, which means the only people that care about these programs are the Democrats. We gonna sacrifice all of this and we don't care. You gonna have to hurt, your family gonna have to suffer, all these people gonna have to lose their jobs. And when that happens, it's gonna hurt the Democrats, not us. It's gonna hurt them. So if y'all don't want to catch these strays, they need to keep the government open. And so I don't
Well,
think that people are like reading those words or hearing what it is that they are really saying. Programs that the American people count on, like they count on this stuff to live and to support their children. We're going to take that away to hurt them, not us, to hurt them. You know what I
right.
mean? And you're just going to be collateral damage. That's what they were saying on national television. And the fact that you can go online and see Republicans who are currently on these programs, when you have a pregnant woman or a woman who just had a baby, she's going to have her wig taken away. That's your baby formula. That's your milk. That's your cereal.
Right.
All of that is going to be taken away just to hurt the Democrats. And for you to be sitting at home with your baby eating, trying to feed your baby and be cool with that. I just think that maybe they just not catching it when they say it. You know, like they are not catching the meaning of what it is that they are saying. And I think that's just part of the reason why they need to hold firm with the shutdown. So people can see it's not just the farmers. Y'all could get touched too. Your kids can get touched too. Like, we don't care. Y'all all can get it. All of y'all can get it just to piss them off, which is ironic because they voted for him to piss us off. They didn't know that in order to piss us off, that they were going to have to get hurt in the process.
No, they don't. They don't know that. And while we're coming to the end here to wrap things up, I don't normally do this breaking news thing, but I'm looking at my clock. It's 11:07 Central Time, which means it's 12:07 Eastern Time. And this just came out over CNN. The federal government has officially shut down after a deadlocked Congress failed to pass a funding measure to keep the lights on, and no one inside the Capitol knows what will happen next. So, as you're listening to this podcast, as we're recording it, the country's been shut down for 7 minutes now. And as we go throughout the day, it's going to be interesting to see what the noise is. And Donald Trump flailing around. He got what he wanted, but be careful what you ask for because you'll fuck around and find out.
This shut down, and sometimes I feel bad saying it because we do have a pretty good community that support each other. So it's like a lot easier on us than people who don't have a community. But from my perspective, I think that the shutdown needs to be in place until Kink's tacos. If he don't taco, then we're just gonna have to ride this out to the midterms because I don't think people understand. I really don't think they understand how much worse it will be for the Democrats to cave. And from my job and the information that I see, I know for a fact that Democrats have that same information and they know how bad it's going to be. And usually they try to and they were trying leading up to this. We're just going to pray. We're going to reach out. We're going to try to talk. Like they were really trying. And I think the reason that they decided to let the shutdown go through is because they know what's on the other end of that. And they know how bad it's going to be. And they know that they're going to have to deal with people saying, why didn't you just shut the government down? Why did you let them do this? Like they've done enough already. I don't think they're doing enough. I'm not funding a fascist government. I don't care if it's health insurance. I don't care when it comes to military on the street. I'm not funding a fascist government, period. If y'all don't want to deal with the Democrats, y'all don't want to compromise, then you need to figure out a way to keep the government open and you need to handle your business. And then you need to go and you need to tell the people in your districts, you need to explain to them why it's okay for them not to have WIC. And it's like they think that they could just blame immigrants. And when people don't have health insurance and they can't get their medication and their kids are hungry, they not gonna care if it's 5 million immigrants getting government health insurance. All they are gonna know is that they don't have theirs and that the Republicans took it from them. They don't want to hear nothing about no immigrants. Where's my health insurance? Just kick the immigrants off. Why do you have to kick us all off? That's what the conversation that's going to be starting to have pretty soon here. Hopefully. I don't know, because MAGA, they just weird like.
Absolutely. Well, Old Soul, thanks for joining us on the program. I appreciate it. People were anxious to hear from you.
Saw your podcast with TJ, and I'm going to send him a message. And I feel so bad because it's like, it was nothing for you and your wife when y'all came to Vegas for us to kind of hang out, eat some good food. I think you even did a short TikTok, right? Yeah. No problem. But it's just when TJ comes, I just miss him. And so I am going to send him a message and try to see if we can get together. But on the 3rd is when I'm going with my honey and the girls to help them get settled into where um, they are relocating to temporarily. Because if I don't say temporarily, my honey think it's permanent.
Yeah.
So I'm going to miss him when he's here on the 6th. And I feel so bad because it was so easy when you and your wife came. But that was like before the election and all that stuff. So
True.
I'm
We'll
pretty
have to
sure.
set something up. We'll set something up at some point. Um,
Yeah.
yeah.
And
TJ
so,
just happened to.
yeah, I get messages from like the audience and stuff, like DMs on TikTok. And I'm really, really bad at looking at them because I'm not on social media like that, but I can get better at it. I can get
You
better at
will.
that.
You do just fine. All right. For those of you listening, thanks for taking the time. Hope you have a great day, and we'll talk to you again tomorrow.